And ultimately, that's what's happening. Ultimately, what we're going to see is a reshuffling and a restructuring of reality. We're going to deep dive your questions, your burning questions about reality creation. Now that reality has been won, I put up a video about this. I said to you guys, there's new architects of reality. This is an ultimate victory of the light. I explained to you how in the false matrix, reality creation was owned by those who were of the lowest frequency. The way it's wired in the false matrix is exactly the opposite to the way that reality operates in the organic creation template. Organic creation template, also known as organic matrix, divine matrix, or God's world. In other words, the way it was always meant to be. Out there in the way it was always meant to be, the way that reality works is those who hold the highest frequency generate the collective reality. And what that does is it continues to lift and elevate reality, almost like it's bringing everything up. And everybody collectively creates, but those who have the most say, if I could put it that way, or the most impact in terms of that reality creation are the highest frequency beings. That makes sense, right? The inverted matrix, false matrix, where we've lived, it was exactly the opposite, which is why reality was degrading. You could see that generation by generation, the degradation of morals and values in society really just going downhill because the lowest frequencies in the room, so to speak, lowest frequencies on the planet, held the most creative ability in terms of who was licensed, who was charged to create on behalf of the collective. So it landed up being that those who had the most say were those with the most density, with the most distortion, with the most trauma, with the most pain. They became the loudest voices. They became the spokespeople for the planet. The shift occurred in the same way that all cosmic shifts do, bar the flash, which is something entirely different. Most cosmic shifts happen without big lights in the sky, without fanfare, without memos, without neon lights erupting before you. Most cosmic shifts occur quietly, sweetly, softly, as did this. I put up a video called My Story where I explained to you guys why I am able to go outside of the matrix a lot and read what goes on in those creation fields. You can go watch that story, but the brief of it is super sick childhood, in between life and death a lot of the time, and that gave me access to that organic creation world. So what I do is I read the field of the organic matrix as well as the false matrix and keep sharing with you how it looks as we are in the process of returning to the organic matrix and collapsing the false matrix. It's the biggest shift we could ever live through. And that exact point of shift is called the event, also known as ascension. And as we come closer to ascension, so the false matrix begins to collapse and crumble and, in a sense, cave in on itself. That's exactly what darkness is designed to do. Let's get into your 20 questions that are going to detail more about this phenomenon that's taken place. Let's talk about this. The first question that I have is, what will people who are artists and designers and the current creative people, what will they do? The question is a little bit wordy, so I'm not going to read the whole thing, but in essence, they're asking about creative people. And the reason I want to answer this question for you is because when we looked at the end of 2022, beginning 2023, I actually put up a video for you guys about this. And I said, we're going to look back at 2023 and see there was the threshold, the danger point, wherein we nearly gave license to AI to take creation over for us. We nearly lost it in 2023. And I said to you, I didn't know how. It was the truth back then when I released the video. Don't know how it's going to happen, but somewhere we're going to take reality back. That's what has occurred. We've taken reality back. When a society shows it's a very evolved society, that society is not the servant of AI, which is what we were destined to become. in the false matrix, it was actually set up to end that way. Spoiler alert, that's where it all went to. Basically, humanity was set to become very cyborg-like. We were set to become transhuman. We're going to develop a distaste for creation that comes from AI. We're going to look at it, we're going to go, just that. Don't know what the word is for. Just that's not pretty. That doesn't gel. It's too perfect. It's too something. And by the way, all of those ChatGPTs and all of those AI generated art supplies and so forth, those are in infancy. They're destined to become something that the best artist on the planet couldn't ever attain. That's what they're destined to become, because the nature of artificial intelligence is that it's continually growing. An evolved society is not enslaved to AI, nor does an evolved society enslave AI. An evolved society works with AI. An evolved society takes charge of their creative ability. And that becomes the most prized thing, is your ability to create. Organic creation becomes favored. I remember, this is a little personal story about me in standard 2, which is grade 4. In grade 4, I remember doing art. I had this wonderful teacher, Mrs. Fasahi. I loved her to smithereens. Don't know whatever happened to her. We all called her Sach. She was the greatest teacher ever. I still remember her. And I did this picture and I drew, I was so disappointed in it. I drew a woman playing a violin, but her bloody fingers landed up looking like bananas. I cried my eyes out because I'd done this whole picture. It was beautiful. But as the very last thing that I drew in was this woman's hands holding onto the violin, and I just bungled the whole picture up because now it looked like banana fingers, or just not even fingers, just bunch of bananas holding a violin. I was devastated. And she loved the picture, and she taught me that imperfection is its own art and its own beauty. And that picture actually went on to win a prize. It was shown in a gallery, and it really taught me something so amazing about true artistry. That it's about allowing the unfolding of what is within you that bypasses the linearity and the logic of the left brain, but it comes from somewhere else that you don't control, that you don't understand, that you simply become a conduit of, and you allow for this creative life force to come through you, and not to create, because that would, I talk often about how I don't do channeling, so to speak, because I never want to be disempowered. I want to co-create. And when you are an artist at a high level, you are co-creating because you are aware of divinity moving through you as you create, whether you're creating a picture, whether you're creating your own reality. You're aware of divinity collaborating with you and together creating a masterpiece that neither one of you could create alone. So the answer to the question, what happens to creative people? They become the prized citizens of society. Look at the false matrix, the struggling artist, always overlooked. Creativity was kind of, especially at school, don't know how it was for you, but it was that way for me. You wanted to do economics, and you wanted to do business studies, and you wanted to do all of the linear left brain things, but art and creativity was very much ignored, certainly in my day. My oldest son is an artist, and I love to see him get engrossed and lost in a picture. I love to see anybody, and this is how you know that somebody's really in that creative mode, the tongue. Yeah, you see it in the tongue. Because what happens, I'm going to demonstrate for you. Here's my daughter, right? She's the youngest of my 3 children. Here she is. She's drawing, okay? Imagine her now. She's drawing. She's got her crayons in her hand, but watch the tongue. As the pen moves, her tongue moves. Do you know why? Because she's not in her linear brain. She's not thinking, what does this mean? I'm using red. Why am I using red? What does it mean? She's just lost in the moment. She is absolutely in her creative flow. That's where we all go as we move into higher and higher frequency. Question number 2, what can we expect from now on? How will this affect us? What we can expect more responsibility to be placed on the light workers, more responsibility to sit with those who hold the highest vibrational frequency. Responsibility is power, not burden. That was false matrix teachings, right? False matrix said, oh, responsibility is my burden. As we move into higher frequency, responsibility is my ticket to freedom. So we're going to see the light workers who are now truly responsible for the overall collective reality being created. We're going to see them stepping into much higher versions of themselves, and every single light worker on the planet has felt it, has been called to step into a higher version of themselves. They don't know why. They're just going, this has just got serious. Even if they don't ever watch my videos or know my name, something in them says, I don't know why, but this just got serious and I need to really step into my higher alignment now. Question number 3 is, what can we do to assist this new reality? The answer is absolutely nothing. You can do nothing to assist this new reality, but you can be. You can be the highest frequency, because we're so used to operating from doing, which is very much operating from the brain. It's operating from a plan, and it's operating from a very linear, disconnected, intellectual space rather than presence, connection to divinity, interaction with divinity. That is what it is to be in beingness. And the more you can connect with that beingness, and the more you can step into the infinite space, the infinite creative space of co-creation with the divine, the more you spend time there, the bigger your ripple becomes. The bigger your ripple becomes, the higher you lift reality. That's how we support the miracle and participate in the miracle that we are all currently living through. Question number 4, what are the key things that we should focus on and the pitfalls that we should avoid? Okay, the key things that we should focus on is ourselves, because we've focused on everybody else out there. We focused on what are they doing in their reality, and look at how wrong they are, look at how bad they are. When are they going to get judged? When is their karma going to come? We have focused so much on the wrongdoings of others instead of being responsible for ourselves. That's part of the key. Becoming personally responsible, which restores sovereignty, which restores power. Another key is stepping out of judgment. That's a pitfall. Because you asked me, what are the keys? What are the pitfalls? Judgment is a pitfall. The key is not non-judgment. Because a lot of people think, oh, I mustn't judge something. It's very hard. If you're saying I mustn't think, or I mustn't judge, to not do something is very difficult, because almost by wiring, you're going to do the very thing you tell yourself not to do. So the opposite of judgment is not non-judgment. The opposite of judgment is acceptance. Stepping into higher levels of acceptance, which means to learn to see reality without the blinkers on. That's actually what acceptance is. Acceptance is when you stop trying to change everyone and everything else and you go, it is what it is. It is as it is. It is what is. It's one of the things that I teach in my online community. We come back to this so often because it's something that we need to master. Learning to be with what is. That is what acceptance is. And it's a key for creation at the higher levels. When you are working with resistance, when you are working with an I don't want or an I don't like, you're going to create that. You're going to create the I don't want. You're going to create the I don't like. So acceptance dissipates that. And it neutralizes that I don't like. That's why judgment is the pitfall. And acceptance is the key, because we're going to learn to create from neutrality. And that's what allows us to create at a place that we couldn't get to before. At a place that we almost didn't have the keys for. The door was locked to us until now. Another one of the pitfalls that we can really, really avoid is the ego. And how do you avoid the pitfalls of the ego? I've got a playlist on the ego on my channel. You can watch more about it. But to avoid the pitfall of the ego is to acknowledge the ego exists, and the ego is the false self. And it's not wrong, and it's not bad, and it's not here to be judged, because I've just spoken about what judgment does. It is here to be alchemized into the higher version of you. So the key there is to remember that you're an alchemist. We have been brought into a false matrix civilization, a false matrix understanding where if something is wrong, cut it out. But the truth is, an alchemist cuts nothing out. An alchemist transforms and transmutes everything. Question number 5. Is everyone experiencing this shift as deeply as we are? Wow, this person even went on to say, I think they are, but perhaps they don't know it or they don't know how to pinpoint it. The higher the frequency that you hold, the more awareness you're going to have of the shift. The lower the frequency that you hold, the less awareness you're going to have of the shift. So those who are holding a very high frequency, that's why I spoke about them and I said they're going to have this feeling like, ooh, I'm being called to purpose now. Question 6. Okay, I like this one. I'm not a fan of the Galactic Federation at all. This is what the question says. Every time I hear that title, my stomach turns. I don't agree with any hierarchical structure, and I feel that the Federation has its own agenda. Do you have any intel or insights about this topic? I know it's not specifically about reality creation, but actually it is. I'll tell you why. We have outsourced responsibility to so many different people, leaders, councils, religions, any space and place possible. We've outsourced our creative potential and our responsibility. So the Galactic Federation is a very real, very benevolent council that, like just about everything else on the planet, was hijacked. The name, at least, was hijacked. So many people presented themselves. I am so-and-so from the Galactic Federation of Light, or just the Galactic Federation. I speak on behalf of the Galactic Federation. The Galactic Federation would never intervene or interject or override or supersede our creative power. They are very hands-off. They're aware that they cannot intervene. Their job, watch Galactic Wars. There's a video that I put up that explains what their job is. It was to work around the planet to clear the broadcast signal of the false matrix so that we could clear it within ourselves, to give us a fighting chance to do that. That was their job. But when I read channeled messages and it starts with, I am such and such a person from the Galactic Federation, I stopped reading, because the Galactic Federation honestly doesn't need a spokesperson, nor does it need to tell you what they're doing. All that they're tasked with is to hold higher frequency within their body. That's it. That's their job. So that we have other beings on the planet who we can read from. And when I say read, I'm saying we can connect to these other bodies that hold higher frequency. They're not physical on the planet. They are physical beings, but they don't physicalize. Those people who want to talk to the Galactic Federation, they go into a space outside of our reality creation template. It's also called bilocation. They go and they will speak to the Galactic Federation away from Earth, because specifically embodied people who hold higher frequency, they're not allowed to walk on the surface right now. They will later on once we ascend. But we need to be the first ones to embody the higher frequency, because we're here to be the ripple. So when we are painting saviors, because that's what a lot of people have done with the Galactic Federation, oh, they're going to come in ships and save us. No, that is really just the rehashing of old stories that were set about to ensnare humanity and to bleed their power away from them. So I understand why Galactic Federation can give you a little bit of the stomach turn. It's because of that idea of hierarchy. In truth, there is no hierarchy in the universe. There is service. There are councils, which are collectives of beings who do not hold authority or importance. There are councils who will oversee certain things, but they're not governments. They don't have rights over another person. Point number 7, how can we make other people aware? What do you think? What do you think the answer is? Those of you who know me, my online community just answered in unison, silently to themselves. How can we make other people aware? Everybody in my online community has just answered you. You don't. You only hold the light. Be the light, hold the light, be the ripple. That's what you came here to be. Number 8. Okay, I like this one. I think I'm going to do 10 questions, okay? I'll save the other 10 for another time. So they cannot hurt us anymore? Question mark. So they can't hurt us anymore? Are we the karmics? Will we have peace now? Is this new earth? I never said that. And I know that you're not saying, Kerry, you said this, but don't read into what I'm saying. They can't hurt us anymore. What I said is those who hold the highest frequency now create reality. So those who hold the highest frequency, they can certainly hold a reality where they hurt us. See? There is still the work to be done of elevating each one of us at the highest. We don't get to go, okay, well, I'm just going to write it off now. To those people who are holding the highest frequency, you become that person who holds the highest frequency. Will we have peace now? Well, it depends on those holding the highest frequency. Are they in peace? Because most human beings are in pieces, which is why we do not have peace. Most human beings are at war with themselves, which is why we have war. So just because the highest frequency is creating does not mean that now it's going to be a perfect reality. It simply means the torch has been handed over to new architects that are better qualified. But are they perfect? Is this 5D? No, this is not 5D. But the people who hold the highest frequency can very easily step into 5D, very easily step into higher consciousness. That's why that call and that purpose, oh my gosh, that purpose is to do less but be more. Be more love, be more light, be more truth, be more integrity, be more sovereignty, be the highest version of you. And then when you are the highest version of you, be more. Be more. Keep going beyond where you are. That's how we keep growing. One of the phrases that we speak of so often in my online community is that phrase, go beyond. Every time you think you've got somewhere, go beyond that place. Every time you think you've attained something, go beyond. Every time you've had a meditation that's been mind-blowing, whoa, my world will never be the same again. I just had this phenomenal experience. Go beyond. Keep going beyond. That's what growth is. Okay, number 9. What about the way to bring in consciousness into the system? You don't. You don't. Be the light. Be the light. Do you now need to go change the system? No. You now need to understand the systems will collapse in on their own weight. Darkness is designed to collapse in on itself, to spiral into such a deep, dark place that it cannot stand up anymore. That's what darkness is designed to do. Your job is to allow it to do its job whilst you do yours, which is to be the highest frequency in the room. How can we translate the new reality to people who still feel stuck? You don't. You be the light. Somebody asked me as well, are there words that we can say to convey Christ consciousness to people? Be the light. Another person said, oh, I know it's not enough to just be love and light, but what else can I do? No, that's enough. The fact that we don't see the merit and the power of being light on this planet is testimony to how very infiltrated our reality was and how coordinated it was to dumb humanity down into such beliefs that say, oh, I know love and light's not the answer. Oh, I know that just being high frequency is not going to do anything. No, that is it. Right, so the final question is about tarot cards and basically about predicting reality. This one says, I'd love to know your thoughts on tarot card readings and the use of runes. Don't give your power away is my answer. Don't give your power away. Certainly, by all means, look at if you want to. But you'll find you'll want to do this less and less. But sure, if you want to look at cards and ruins and all of these things to see what's going to happen, what you'll eventually start doing is becoming uncomfortable with that. What you'll eventually start wanting to do is be present with trust. Because when you are continually wanting to read reality is because you don't trust that you're okay, you don't trust that you're safe, you don't trust the outcome. So what you're going to organically, naturally start to do, not because tarot is bad, not because runes are bad, or any predictive form of fortune telling in itself is bad, but rather because you're going to stop giving your power away and start finding the power in presence. And instead of saying what's going to happen, you're going to start being the creator who makes things happen. And not even because you're going, I'm going to make this thing happen and I'm going to force something into place, but rather because you step into your higher alignment, which allows for all of the higher aspects of reality to reshuffle themselves. And ultimately, that's what's happening. Ultimately, what we're going to see is a reshuffling and a restructuring of reality. It will take place not overnight, but rather over a couple of years. This cannot be an immediate change because people are going to go into mental health decline. They're going to go into psychosis. It's going to be too much to integrate too quick. It's going to have to be a gradual shift. Lots of love from my heart all the way into yours. I'll come back to you with the rest of these great questions. You guys have asked me about suicide. You've asked me about so many things, and I'd love to give you those answers. So we'll speak again really soon. If you haven't watched this video about reality creation, go and watch it. I did release it some time ago, but it's still just as important as ever.